Good morning, everyone. Today's journey starts from Gateshead, Newcastle, all the way to Albania. Our day actually started very early in the morning, around 4:30 a.m. Still dark outside, cold weather, and honestly, one of those mornings where you question why you even planned such an early trip. Since we already had a car, we decided not to use buses or trains to reach the airport. Driving gave us flexibility, especially while carrying luggage and traveling comfortably. From Gateshead to Heathrow Airport and back, the journey almost consumed a full tank of diesel, which cost us nearly £70. And with fuel prices these days, long-distance road trips in the UK definitely aren't cheap anymore. As the journey continued, the weather slowly started changing. At first, it was manageable, but later the rain became heavier and heavier. Continuous rain throughout the motorway journey made the drive slightly frustrating and tiring. Visibility kept dropping at times, roads were wet, and traffic also started slowing down because of the weather. Still, after several hours of driving, we finally reached the Heathrow long-stay parking area. One useful thing about Heathrow long-stay parking is, if you pre-book online based on the number of days, you can actually get much cheaper prices compared to last-minute bookings. Once we reached the parking entrance, we had to leave the car in the designated handover area. The process was actually simple. We parked the car, placed the keys inside a sealed zip pouch provided by the parking staff, and then kept it on the front dashboard area for collection. But one important thing before handing over the vehicle: always make sure there are no valuables left inside the car. And it's also better to quickly check and remember the condition of the car before leaving it there. After finishing the parking process, we headed towards the airport shuttle buses. One good thing is, buses from long-stay parking to Heathrow terminals are very frequent. Almost every 5 minutes, there's another shuttle arriving. At that early morning timing, the entire bus was almost empty. Quiet atmosphere, rainy weather outside, and everyone looked half asleep while traveling towards the airport. After reaching the airport terminal, we started walking towards the check-in area. On the way, like every major international airport, there were plenty of duty-free and custom stores everywhere. Honestly speaking, most airport duty-free stores are heavily overpriced. Since we still had some extra time before check-in, we decided to grab a quick breakfast and small shopping from WH Smith. One thing many travelers in the UK know is, the WH Smith meal deals inside airports are actually better value compared to many other airport food shops. You can usually get a drink, snack, and sandwich combo for a cheaper price, instead of buying everything separately. After finishing breakfast, we finally headed towards immigration and security checks. The airport was surprisingly smooth despite the weather conditions outside, and after completing all the formalities, it was finally time for boarding. Outside the aircraft windows, heavy rain was still continuing. As the aircraft slowly started taxiing across the runway, you could barely see clearly through the wet windows. And finally, takeoff. We decided to grab a quick breakfast and small shopping from WH Smith. One thing many travelers in the UK know is, the WH Smith meal deals inside airports are actually better value compared to many other airport food shops. You can usually get a drink, snack, and sandwich combo for a cheaper price, instead of buying everything separately. After finishing breakfast, we finally headed towards immigration and security checks. The airport was surprisingly smooth despite the weather conditions outside, and after completing all the formalities, it was finally time for boarding. Outside the aircraft windows, heavy rain was still continuing. As the aircraft slowly started taxiing across the runway, you could barely see clearly through the wet windows. And finally, takeoff. One of the best feelings during travel is always that moment when the aircraft leaves the ground. Within minutes, the grey, rainy skies of London slowly disappeared behind the clouds. As the flight continued across Europe, the views outside became absolutely beautiful. We passed over misty mountain ranges, snowy peaks, clouds floating between valleys, and endless landscapes below. Sometimes during flights, you realize how massive and beautiful Europe actually is from above. After several hours of flying, we finally reached Albania during the nighttime. Landing at a completely new country always gives a different excitement. The airport itself looked fairly modern and relatively new compared to some older European airports. After collecting luggage, we started searching for public transport options. But honestly, since it was our first time in Albania, we didn't really understand the transport system properly. At that late night timing, finding buses also became confusing. And taxis near airports, as usual, were slightly expensive. Still, outside the airport there were some nice spots for photos, so we spent a little time capturing the atmosphere before deciding what to do next. That's when we realized another problem. The hotel we originally booked was actually almost 2 hours away from the airport. Traveling that far late at night in a completely new country didn't really feel like a good idea. So instead of risking unnecessary travel stress, we made a quick decision. Using Booking.com, we searched for nearby hotels within walking distance from the airport. Luckily, we found one decent stay nearby and decided to stay there for the night. The area around the hotel was interesting. Almost everywhere nearby, there were rental car companies and parked rental vehicles surrounding the streets. You could immediately tell that many tourists arriving in Albania prefer renting cars and exploring the country by road. After finally getting some rest, the next morning officially became our first full day in Albania. We started exploring the local city center areas nearby. The atmosphere felt calm, different from major UK cities, and the streets had a completely different vibe and architecture. Later from our hotel, we booked a day tour using Get Your Guide. The destination was the famous Bovilla Lake trekking experience. And honestly, that turned out to be one of the best parts of the trip. The drive towards the mountains, the natural landscapes, fresh air, and finally reaching the lake views after trekking. It was absolutely worth it. The water looked unreal, surrounded by massive mountains and cliffs. The entire place felt peaceful and untouched compared to crowded tourist locations. The trekking itself was slightly tiring, but once you reach the viewpoint, the scenery completely makes you forget the effort. That experience alone made the entire journey feel special. And that's where we'll end the first part of this Albania travel series. From rainy UK motorways, Heathrow Airport chaos, flying across snowy European mountains, to finally experiencing the beautiful landscapes of Albania. This journey was already full of unexpected moments. In the next video, we'll continue exploring more beautiful places, local experiences, food, culture, and adventures from Albania. See you in the next one.